He had drawn a little Valentine heart around his name, a thing he hadn't done in years. She felt a wave of love for him, as thick and cloying as the scent of dying flowers. She wanted to wail like some woman in an Old Testament story, and stifled the sound with a napkin. The refrigerator kicked on and began its heartless whir. Water dripped in the sink, plinking away the seconds on the porcelain. Her tongue was a sour sponge crammed into her mouth. She felt time, all the time to come, as his wife in this house, close around her like a straitjacket. Or a coffin. This was the world she had believed in as a child. It had been here all the time, waiting for her. The refrigerator whirred, the water dripped in the sink, and the raw seconds passed. This was the darker life, where every truth was written backward. 12. Her husband had coached Little League, also with Vinnie Eskler, that master of Polish jokes and big enveloping man-hugs, during the years when Donnie had played shortstop for the Cavendish hardware team, and Darcy still remembered what Bob said to the boys, many of them weeping, after they'd lost the final game of the District 19 tourney. Back in 1997, that would have been, probably only a month or so before Bob had murdered Stacy Moore and stuffed her into her corn bin. The talk he'd given to that bunch of drooping, sniffling boys had been short, wise, and, she'd thought so then and still did 13 years later, incredibly kind. I know how bad you boys feel, but the sun will still come up tomorrow. And when it does, you'll feel better. When the sun comes up the day after tomorrow, a little better still. This is just a part of your life, and it's over. It would have been better to win, but either way, it's over. Life will go on. As hers did, following her ill-starred trip out to the garage for batteries. When Bob came home from work after her first long day at home, she couldn't bear the thought of going out herself, afraid her knowledge must be written on her face in capital letters, he said. Honey, about last night. Nothing happened last night. You came home early, that's all. He ducked his head in that boyish way he had, and when he raised it again, his face was lit with a large and grateful smile. That's fine, then, he said. Case closed? Closed book. He opened his arms. "Give us a kiss, beautiful." She did, wondering if he had kissed them. "Do a good job, really use that educated tongue of yours, and I won't cut you," she could imagine him saying. "Put your snooty little heart into it." He held her away from him, his hands on her shoulders. "Still friends?" "Still friends." "Sure?" "Yes. I didn't cook anything, and I don't want to go out." "Why don't you change into some grubbies and go grab us a pizza?" "All right. And don't forget to take your Prilosec." He beamed at her. "You bet." She watched him go bounding up the stairs, thought of saying, "Don't do that, Bobby, don't test your heart like that." But no. No. Let him test it all he wanted. 13. The sun came up the next day. And the next. A week went by, then 2, then a month. They resumed their old ways, the small habits of a long marriage. She brushed her teeth while he was in the shower, usually singing some hit from the 80s in a voice that was on key but not particularly melodious, although she no longer did it naked, meaning to step into the shower as soon as he'd vacated it. Now she showered after he'd left for B.A. If he noticed this little change in her modus operandi, he didn't mention it. She resumed her book club, telling the other ladies and the 2 retired gentlemen who took part that she had been feeling under the weather and didn't want to pass on a virus along with her opinion of the new Barbara Kingsolver, and everyone chuckled politely. A week after that, she resumed the knitting circle. Nuts for knitting. Sometimes she caught herself singing along with the radio when she came back from the post office or the grocery store. She and Bob watched TV at night, always comedies, never the forensic crime shows.